What's up here? Oh, crumbs, gotta stop. Right, lift this thing up. That's pretty. Whoa, look at that. Let's go there. So if you watch the channel regularly, you know that I make videos about altering, extending and renovating homes in the UK. That's not going to be this video. I'm on holiday in Germany. I spent the last 5 days in Munich, and yesterday evening we came to a small place called Regensburg. And I've never been here before. In fact, this is only the second time ever being to Germany. Regensburg is a large town, small city, not entirely sure, but it's a UNESCO World Heritage Site. I do most of my work in Edinburgh, which is also a UNESCO World Heritage Site. I have no idea really what's in this place. I know that we've got this bridge, which dates from the 12th century and was apparently the inspiration for the old medieval London Bridge. And that down there is the River Danube, which flows from way up there in Germany all the way down through Vienna and goes out into the Black Sea. This is our first full day in the city. I got up really early. My wife and kids are still in bed. So why don't we go on a little journey together on this scooter and see what we can find. I think I read somewhere that that was a salt store and there might have been a debtor's prison in that building. I don't think we do either of those things much anymore. But what do you do when you have such a fine old building? How do you keep it going? The worst thing you can do with old architecture is just abandon it, because it will fall apart in just a few years. So you have to find some function to put into the thing to keep it going. That building is hundreds of years old and is just leaning over. And it's probably been leaning that way for a long time and is probably perfectly fine. And this is something I've noticed they do quite a lot in Bavaria. I spent 5 days in Munich and there were lots of buildings covered in murals. I think that's meant to be David and Goliath from the Bible. Let's just walk up here and see what we've got going on. Good grief. It just knocks your eyes out. Whoa. Just look at this. So I think Rathaus is like a old-fashioned parliament building, like the city council. Just look at that. Now, I'm a modernist at heart, but I really do enjoy a highly detailed old Gothic building. Even the paving down here. I don't know what the significance of this is, but they've just made these snaking cobbles. I don't know why they did it. Maybe to add interest. I don't think there's anything here, any kind of pattern. So this is where the great and the good of Regensburg would meet to make some decisions. What on earth? Huge padlock. By far the biggest padlock I think I've ever seen in my life. And thumping great chains. I have no idea. Is that... Yeah, it's a gate. It's a gate post. Maybe they come over here and that's how they lock the place up at night. Sling the chain across the arch and keep people out. And this feature, I absolutely love this. Look at the glass. That is packed full of detail. And I like the contrast with the yellow render and the old stone. Regensburg was bombed heavily during the war, but the middle of the town apparently survived unscathed. Unlike Munich, spent 5 days there. Wonderful place, Munich. But the same population as Glasgow. Very different vibe from Glasgow. Nothing wrong with Glasgow, but Munich, if you haven't been, absolutely check it out. But let's see what else we can find in Regensburg. So I just came down this little side street and look in here. Just somebody walked through this little doorway. I think it's probably someone's private house, but look at these Gothic arches. That is what's holding up the first floor, and probably the rest of the building. And you wouldn't think it from the outside. You would think it's probably more like this, with these exposed timber joists that run right the way through the building. I like how they've got these notches on the end. That's probably there to allow water to drip off. That's how that building is held up. Those timber beams run right the way through. But on this guy, they paid extra to have these arches. I'm guessing they stored tall things, maybe carriages. Who knows? Large barrels of beer. They do like their beer. I mean, who am I kidding? I like my beer. Let's keep going. So one of the worst things that can happen to an old city is that it gets turned into Disneyland, you know? But this place is alive. There are people doing deliveries. There's guys over there, they're building something. I need to get out of this guy's way because he's clearly on the job. And there are people going to work. There'll probably be kids going to school. It's alive. Check it out, check it out. I love this. Not only is it wonky, but you can see that somebody has tried to fix the wonkiness. So a little lesson in structures here. This building dates from 1260 and it is tall. What do we got there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 floors, including the ground floor. But look at how they've held this up. There's an arch there above those windows and there's another arch above that. And I'm guessing that what's happened is that the walls on the ground floor are super thick at the edge where it meets the other building, and that arch and the arch above it transfer load down into what are probably 2-3 foot thick walls. But as you go further up the building, the walls will get thinner and thinner until they get to the top, and they're probably only about, maybe, I don't know, a foot thick, 250, 300 mil. And that is how you build tall buildings in the Middle Ages. Now that is a view. It's like just a filigree of stone to keep it light. And I love the way that you just get a little glimpse of that. This tiny, narrow alleyway. Let's go up there, see what we can find. Holy shit. Just look at that. I mean, I could be here all day looking at this thing. So let's try and find some highlights. I am not religiously inclined, but that is magnificent. I read up on this before coming here, and they started building this some point in the mid-1200s. And they didn't finish it until the 1860s. Just bit by bit, generation by generation, chipping away, adding a bit here, repairing a bit there. And I think they're still repairing it. I think they have a workshop. I've read that somewhere too. Now check out this guy. Look at that. I just love how they spent the time making these images of saints and angels and then stick in these guys next to them. It's like there's a whole society on the face of that building. The good, the bad, and the ugly. Let's see what the inside looks like. Wow. Just look at the dawn sunlight coming through these windows. I don't know if my camera's capturing this. But the effect is absolutely spellbinding. Well, that really is something else. Let's get back on this little scooter and make some progress. Way cobblestone. Whoa! This is amazing. But look what I found over here. This little plaque to one Albrecht Altdorfer, 1480-1538. They used the term Baumeister, which I think means master builder. And probably had something to do with creating all this. And this gorgeous little square actually has something to teach us about building. I mean, it probably has an awful lot to teach us about building. First up, look at these. These are stone, but they're just like those timber joists I showed you in the city earlier. So they were copying what they were making in timber in stone because it was what they're familiar with, including those little drips to let the water run off. Because over time stone will weather, not as quick as timber, but it will weather. And look at how these buttresses are built into the base of this wall so that they can have this arch, which carries a very tall structure. So they thickened the base course using stone, and they splayed it at an angle so that the force would be distributed into the ground. And of course, the great thing about coming to a place like this is that it's not Disneyland. People actually live here and they're driving up and down on these cobblestones. going on their way to work. This place is magnificent, but it gets better. Look at that ceiling. So, that window is a Romanesque arch, just like the rest of that building. They're round, circular arches. But as they moved along the building, they began introducing pointed arches. And you can see that there's been damage. The building has moved, hard to save. And they maybe decided, let's build using these new fangled pointy arches, which seem to be the fashion. I'm betting that as they went along, they introduced these because at the time, Gothic was becoming the new thing. This was, in its day, ultra modern. I mean, even today, we would probably struggle to execute this. I think we could definitely do it. Probably do it quicker, and probably do it safer. But it is still breathtaking to watch. The work of multiple generations over many centuries executing one plan. I wonder how many mistakes they made along the way. But that is absolutely magnificent. And it's all there because of the pointed arch, the flying buttress. It's all about space in the walls for light, just like I showed you when I went inside. Even early in the morning, it is flooded with natural light, and it is an absolutely magnificent space. I just can't seem to make any progress in Regensburg because every street I go down, there's just another glimpse of somewhere else. Look at that, you just catch a glimpse of the cupola on top of the nave of the cathedral. I think that's a convent, and that is a Baroque church. It's just packed with things to look at. And there's just ordinary people going about their day. Kids on their way to school, people on their way to work. Perfect. Check this out. This is a Roman wall. Roman arches and recycled pieces of Roman masonry dating from 179 AD. Turns out recycling isn't just a modern thing. Been doing it for nearly 2,000 years. That's amazing. Look at that. That is an architect's office. I wonder what kind of work they do. Old window, new windows. Check these guys out. So check out this. They've got this old medieval building, I'm guessing, and they've re-roofed it, and they've put on these really nice shingles, almost in the shape of fish scales. Right next to it, a modern sports hall that's been built down into the ruins of an older building, just dropped in. They've got old stuff and they've got new stuff, and even some of the new stuff is made with parts of the old stuff. I've been filming for about an hour and a half. It's been absolutely wonderful going around on my little scooter. We don't have them in Edinburgh. They're in Manchester, I think. They're in London also, but we don't have them in Edinburgh just yet. And it's a really easy way to get around the city. This is not sponsored. Shout out to Lime Bike. Yeah, they're pretty good. But I think it's one of life's great pleasures to go for a ramble through a city you've never been in before, just to find things at random. And Regensburg did not disappoint. This place is absolutely fantastic. I mean, they've got old stuff, they've got new stuff, and they've been doing stuff for a long time. It's absolutely beautiful. And it's a real city. People live here, they work here, they go to school here. It's not just mobbed with tourists as a lot of European places tend to be. This is fantastic. This is exactly what a city should be. It's alive. I haven't seen a single abandoned or derelict building in my hour and a half of rambling through the middle of the city. Nothing shuttered up or closed. People are going about their business even though it's early on a, Thursday morning. This is absolutely fantastic. I reckon you could probably walk across the city centre in certainly less than half an hour. 20-25 minutes at a brisk pace. This is a wonderful place. I'm going to spend the next couple of days exploring. Might document a few more things before I go. But this is absolutely brilliant. Can't wait to find out more about Regensburg.